Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to Anime King 3. And today I'm gonna be giving you part 3, guys, of What If Naruto had all the curse techniques from Jujutsu Kaisen. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual. Share this to all of your friends on your social media platform. And also, guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the brand new episode over on Anime King 2 of What If Naruto Fuse with the 12-tailed dragon god, and enjoy that, guys. And also, if you're new, yes, I indeed have 4 more channels. All the links will be down in the description for Anime King, Anime King 2, Anime Prince, and Anime Symbol. So go ahead, check them out, and yeah, enjoy. So without further ado or wasting any more time, how about we jump right into this? Begin now, guys. So the last part that we left off. Naruto jumped out of bed. He was startled. Since for a few years now, he's been having some horrendous dreams, where there was always mass casualty and chaos and destruction. And whenever he looked down towards his hands, he somehow knew that he was the one to cause all of this. He didn't know how he knew, but he knew that he was the one to do all of this. And it scared him. Greatly so, it scared him. Because it seems like something was seriously messed up and wrong with him on the inside. He's went through counsel. He's went through therapy. Being a part of Root was no easy job. He could not return back to sleep as he figured that he would just head out. It was early. He would just took to the streets in the early morning. Sasuke was the first to be there, as Naruto had been walking around the village. The both of them didn't really get along just yet. Sasuke knew nothing about this Naruto Oda. Nothing at all. So Sasuke decided that it might be good for him to at least know who the guy was. To his surprise and shock, Naruto knew Itachi. Yes, Naruto was a few years older than him, but he never thought that he knew Itachi. But Naruto did. And Sasuke didn't know what it was about the guy, but he was just so unusually nice. And his calmness made you calm as well, which was rather strange. Sasuke figured that they can get along. Mito came soon after. Kakashi took a long while to arrive, which caused Mito to be rather pissed off. Naruto and Kakashi had a little conversation. Hiruzen had informed Kakashi a bit about Naruto, which Naruto had told him that at least he now knew that he didn't have to treat him like the other kids. After all, he wasn't like them. Far from it. Kakashi could tell by the way that Naruto walked, by the way that he carried himself. He was a trained killer. There was no doubt about that. And from what the Hokage said about him, he was unusually powerful. A special case if there ever was one. And he was just a few years older than the other Genins. But he was indeed special. Kakashi realized how truly smart Naruto was in the tests, as he used the tests for the others to join forces. For Sasuke to see that he would stand no chance against Kakashi, and in order for him to win this he would need to team up with the others. Naruto's mind worked rather fast, and he was smart as well. So with that, they came together as a team, something that Kakashi truly appreciates, as they worked together, allowing Kakashi to give them the passing grade for them to become Team 7 once and for all. When Kakashi announced that he passed them, many were shocked, given Kakashi whole thing for passing teams, yes. They were rather surprised. However, he did pass them though, so it was time to move on. Team 7 worked together for a few months. Naruto, being as experienced as he was, Kakashi didn't have to worry much about a lot because Naruto knew an extreme amount. He was also making sure that each of them were growing in their own right. Naruto also showed his 10 shadow technique where he could summon all different creatures. However, for now he just summoned a wolf as he made said wolf catch toward the cat. Then they brought it back. The cat was frightened and petrified until Naruto rescued it. As it saw Naruto as a safe haven, the wolf looked like a monster to it in comparison after all. Mito and Sasuke were not pleased by the missions though, so they were finally given something higher as they headed towards the land of Wave. They faced off against the Demon Brothers, where they found out that Kazuna was lying. However, Naruto already knew this because Gato had made contact with him. Just because he was in the light, it didn't mean that his slate was completely clean with the organization. It seems like Danzo had a vested interest in Gato's business. Gato was somewhere public, so yes, Naruto was assigned to assassinate him and all of his forces that might try to retaliate if they tried, as Naruto accepted said mission. So with that, they continue on, where they came across Zabuza Mamakai. Zabuza underestimated Naruto, thinking that he was just tall for his age. With the combined effort of Naruto and Kakashi, Zabuza was beaten. He was almost killed as Naruto used his blood release and another one of his special ability, surprising the others. Naruto was easily able to take down his opponent until the Hunter Ninja arrived and things became a bit sticky from there on. However, they were able to move forward. Kakashi did not know about Naruto's mission, of course, as Naruto used his 10 shadow techniques to summon a whole bunch of rabbits. He used them to locate Gato's location as they scoured the island. He also had a little problem with Inari as well. However, his smooth talking was able to fix that. He also seemed to be getting along with Inari's mother, Tsunami, as well, as they got really close, despite the age difference between them. She felt safe around him as he promised that Gato would no longer be a threat ever again. That night Naruto left, leaving behind a clone of himself, a physical clone as he left. After finding Gato's location, Naruto locked his emotions off like he always did, and it was a massacre. Bodies were dropping. It was pure chaos. Everyone was being slaughtered. While that was going on, two people beyond the Elemental Nation was discussing about Naruto. One of them seemed pleased with the death and destruction. The other one was just silent. Naruto was connected to something big, extremely, and those dreams are a part of it. So yeah guys, basically let's play it off. You guys can switch across the place, check it out for yourself, and also don't forget to go ahead and check out the other what ifs of the other channels. I hope you guys enjoy each and every one of them. So without further ado or wasting more time, let's begin this now guys. We begin this episode before the dawn of the Elemental Nation. A long time ago, there was chaos, bloodshed, horrendous bloodshed. This bloodshed was so bad, the chaos was so great that the Sage of Six Paths' sons, that was Indra and Ashura, had to put aside their differences in order to combat the foe that they were both going to be swallowed by. In the end, the man that was known as the god of his world, the sage Hagoromo, he fell to this enemy. This man had fought a woman that was reside as a goddess, Kaguya Osusuke, but he traversed, he survived. However, in the battle that rearranged the Elemental Nation, he fell. his two sons. They were at a temporary peace. The enemy had been defeated. Both of them had lost so greatly. The now named Uchihas, countless of them, possessing the visual power of the sage, had been eviscerated. The others, now named Senju, possessing the strength, had been eviscerated. However, peace could never last. The brothers were at each other's throats once again. However, that name never left their mind. They were all almost wiped out. If it wasn't for their father's great sacrifice, which led to his death. Because even he realized that he had to use every ounce of his power in order to combat this threat, along with both of his sons by his side, who despised each other, but they all knew if they did not come together, they will be wiped out by a group of people. And their name, their last name, their clan name, Odas. At the current time, Naruto Oda was standing in front of Gato. The man's head was no longer on his shoulders. Naruto looked down towards his hand. His hands were soaked in blood. The whole island was covered in blood. The large mansion was covered in blood. 215. That was the amount of men that Gato had under his control. Granted, they were not the strongest, but they had the numbers. And at the moment, none of them were alive. Naruto knew that something was wrong with him. There was a festering heap of darkness that was inside of him. His personality was the opposite effect. He had this goodness that he pushed forward to try to cancel out the darkness. But every time he tried to tell himself otherwise, he knew that he was wrong. After all, he was a monster. Because he did this. No one forced his hand. He didn't have to kill them all, but he still wiped them all away. Because a part of him enjoyed the bloodshed. A part of him that he was trying to leave behind in the program, but it came with him. That part of him that would never leave. That part of him that wanted him to dive deeper into his odd abilities and awaken some of the more gruesome and grotesque ones that would make people see him for the monster that he was. However, now that he was finished, he was able to come back to his senses. Naruto held both of his hands out as flames ignited upon them like a stream. First thing though, his shadow sucked away Gato's body. Naruto then burned the place until there was nothing left, ashes. Beyond the elemental nation, once again this person was watching all of this take place. He had blonde hair similar to Naruto. He was smiling. The Odas will never fall, he said. He seemed quite pleased, quite happy for what was going on. Extremely happy. Soon, we will meet, and I will give you the answers that you have been seeking so long, and you shall take your rightful place. You shall be the one to come forward as my legacy. You shall be the one to take control back over what belongs to us, the man said with a smirk on his face, talking about Naruto. Back at the elemental nation, Zabuza was not doing so well. He needed a few more days. He was in no fighting condition at the moment. Haku was applying several herbs to his wounds. Haku, his subordinate for so long now, was always by his side. Gato should be paying them a visit anytime soon. He was nearby. He would want to know what the hell happened and why did they fail. Suddenly, the both of them felt something. Haku instantly got up. Before Haku could make a single move though, a red blade was placed right at his throat. Haku was shocked. Somehow someone was able to enter. And he did not even know. He could not move. One move. And he died. The person made things worse by telling him that. Move and you're dead. Flinch. Away from my grasp and you're dead. Try to move your fingers. To craft a hand sign and you're dead. Try to mold your chakra and you're dead. Zabuza on the other hand, he himself was frozen. He could not move an inch either. There was 3 nails, covered in a blue aura. One at the temple of his skull. One rested right at his heart. The other one rested right at his right eye. Those 3 are fast enough to puncture before you can even get the intuition to craft a single jutsu. So I suggest you both just listen to what I have to say. It's you, Zabuza said. So what? Here to kill us? Actually, I am not. Is that so? Said Zabuza. I underestimated you back then. I thought you were the run-of-a-mill genin, but you're clearly not. You might be even more powerful than Taki. Naruto did not answer that. Gato is dead. Naruto spoke. I want you two to leave this place. Leave? Why would we take you by your word? Zabuza said. You do realize I can end your life with just a thought, right? Do I look like I care? Zabuza asked. Naruto said with a smile, as fearless as ever even. When the danger is right in front of you. Tell you what, I'll sweeten the deal. Naruto slipped something into Haku's hand. What's that? That's the money that Gato owes you. I'm not sure how exactly it was, but I'm used to the rate of a missing ninja, giving someone of your caliber. Perhaps it's a bit more, but tell you what, it's a bonus. You can leave this place with your money, without worrying about Gato trying to backstab you. What? Oh, you never know. He was never planning on paying you. He had 200 plus men here. When you were weakened, he was going to come and eradicate you and your partner here. So I might be saving your life. Well, to be truthful, if you had faced us once again, I would have killed the both of you. Naruto said, his tone getting darker. But that is a future possibility that will not happen. Why exactly are you doing this? You could have kept this money. You could even kill me and Haku right here. So tell me, I don't like to mean to people death. Why the hell are you doing this? Zabuza said. I've done enough wrong today. Maybe I just want to do some good. What kind of person are you? You've done enough wrong. Aren't you a ninja? Maybe. Maybe not. What's that supposed to mean? Enough talking, said Naruto. Leave by tonight. If I come back here and see the both of you here, I'll kill you both. Naruto said as he released Haku and started to walk away. He was brave enough to turn his back to the both of them. Haku raised his hand, but Zabuza shook his head no. Zabuza felt it. Whatever this person was, they weren't normal. Far, far, far from it. As Naruto left their little hideout location, Haku unsealed the money under Zabuza orders, and there was a lot there. Maybe it's best if the both of them just took this win and leave this place immediately before they get what is coming to them. Time skip. It happened, and it was a shock to remember. When it was first discovered, many of them thought that Gato had sent a message, but They realized it was Gato. His head was removed. There was a note. The note read, "The little midget tried to betray me, so I did you all a favor." That was all. He must have went against one of his own men, and they retaliate. Everyone made their way downstairs as there was people coming by. "What?" Tazuna said. "What's going on?" said Kakashi. "It's Gato." Moments later, he's dead. As Kakashi had the note in his hand, Mito was rather shocked. "Well, it seems that problem fixed itself," Naruto said. "It was probably Zabuza." "Gato probably tried to betray him," Sasuke said, "and he killed him himself. After all, he's the only person that we know is working for him." "You're probably right," said Kakashi. Kakashi was surprised how easy this was. He would have never expected everything to work out this easily. Unusually easy. Celebration broke in the village. They could build a bridge, they could link themselves back to the mainland. They could run their boats. They no longer had to pay any fee. They could live their life. They no longer have to be worrying about the threat that was coming their way. The man that was taking every single money that they got. It was a wonderful feeling. An amazing feeling. At the moment, shouldn't you be there, celebrating, said Naruto, as he looked at all the people. They were having a celebration in the street. All of the sadness seemed to just lift from their shoulders. Tsunami was standing beside Naruto watching the whole thing. "You're the one that did it, didn't you?" she said. "What are you talking about?" said Naruto. "I'm not an idiot, you know. I saw the look in your eyes last night, when you clearly said that he would not be a problem anymore, and the next morning he's dead. The others might not know because they didn't hear what you say or saw the look on your face. Don't worry, you don't have to tell me. It seems you want it to be kept a secret. Reasons I do not know, but you did us a huge favor. You got rid of the man that was putting us all through hell. So you don't have to tell me why you did it. I'm grateful." She leaned forward as she kissed him right on the cheek. As Naruto placed a hand on said cheek, she smiled at him as she made her way down there. He watched her walk and started to talk to the people. She smiled at him once more. Time skip. With the threat no longer there, and Zabuza never showing up, Team 7, well, Sasuke and Mito, had the time to train, and they work on the bridge without any problems. The bridge was able to get completed far quicker than usual, as Naruto got a rather surprising visit. Once again he was by himself, this time within the forest. He was called by an ink mouse. Naruto stood in front of a masked individual, as clean as ever. And there is nothing linking you back to anything. "You know how I work. Why would you even ask me that?" "Just a formality. Danzo-sama appreciate the extra work that you've put in. Tell me something. Why did he want Gato dead? Is he trying to get himself involved with this village? With Gato being taken down, is he trying to step up as a new leader? New background controller? And what if he is? Does that bother you?" "Answer the damn question," said Naruto. The person took off his mask as he smiled. However, it was really fake. No, Danzo-sama would not get himself involved with this village. He figured that you might ask. He did? Yes. He always knew that you were different. You have more care for others. It's no secret that you would get attached to these people after seeing what they've gone through. However, I'm confused about that. Why? Well, in the organization, when it comes to massacres, you are the best. No one can beat you at that. And yet, you have emotion, something that we lack. And you somehow are able to control it and release it when you see fit. I'm always confused about that trigger that you have. That's not important. Is it bothering you to know that you're a mass murderer? Does it feel strange to care about these people after the countless that you have laid to waste? Sigh. Yes? Leave. But we're not finished with our conversation. I'm finished. And I said leave. Fine, so I said. As he was gone, without another word, Naruto schooled himself and his emotions as he made his way off. Time skip. With the bridge completed, it was time for Team 7 to say their farewells. They did not run into any other trouble, so everything went off smoothly. Kakashi was watching the exchange between Tsunami and Naruto. However, he didn't say anything about it. As the group returned back, much stronger and much happier as well. They returned back and report back into the Hokage about the successful mission. Kakashi told Hiruzen about what took place with Goto. The moment he said that, his eyes trailed over towards Naruto. Hiruzen's eyes, they glanced towards Naruto for a brief second. His face was calm as usual, nonchalant about the whole thing. Kakashi saw the look though. However, he didn't say anything. The Hokage did not question Naruto on anything at all. After all, no one knew who carried out that mission. So with that, Team 7 returned back to their normal duties. Until their mission towards the land of waterfall, Taki to be quite exact. Kakashi had to return back. Yes, emergency meeting. And given the fact that Naruto was there, they were given another mission to help the kids clean up in front of the village. So with that, Team 7 carried on with the mission. That mission was a very special mission. It allowed Sasuke to awaken his Sharingan. Yes, it allowed him to awaken his Sharingan. He faced off against a guy known as Tenchi Matsumoto. Tenchi Matsumoto was a subordinate of Suyin, a man that was trying to rule over Taki village. It was also the first time that Naruto felt the demonic chakra that resided inside of Mito. The three of them had been separated, and the battle was intense. Shibuki, the new leader of the village after the demise of his father, he was fighting Suyin with all of his might. However, he just wasn't enough. Mito took him on, but she was also easily defeated because of the hero's water. When a few kids decide to get involved, Suyin hurt the kids. Not death, but enough to allow their screams to reverberate through the area. While that was happening, Naruto was standing between several dead bodies, all of them members of Suyin gang. That is when he felt the monstrous chakra resonating from the area. When he arrived, a bloodlusted Mito was taking on Suyin. As she clashed with him, she was getting out of control, losing herself. Naruto landed down in front of her after the two separated. He raised both of his hands. Mito, he said, get a hold of yourself. You need to calm down. This was a power that he always heard about. This was a power that he felt that night. It was still as dark and bloodlusted as ever. However, Mito threw herself towards him in a mad rage. Naruto slammed his hand on the ground. Vines and trees exploded up and slammed right into her. They launched her into the sky. They then shoot upwards and grabbed her and slammed her down. As they pinned her, she was wailing and getting out of control. Her eyes, the bloodlust that was leaking from her eyes, was getting more and more intense. The cloak that surrounded her body started to get thick, and it started to bubble. Naruto realized that aggression was not going to get her out of it, so he stepped right towards her as the vines held her back. Naruto's hands were now coated in a special aura. He proceeded to push it through. The cosmic destructive chakra that surrounded her form as he rested a hand on her shoulder. "It's alright. I'm here," he said. Her eyes widened at his touch, his word getting through to her. That is the scene that Sasuke arrived to see. His left arm was a bit injured after his battle, but his Sharingan was fully visible in his eyes. Mito started to calm down when Sasuke shouted, "Behind you!" Suyin, believing that this would be a good thing, he did a secret attack, appearing behind Naruto with a water blade, intending to split the both of them in half. However, Naruto extended his hand, and the water sword dissipated. The water blade had slammed on Naruto's hand, which has transformed. It was dark, with spikes jetting out of it. This is another one of his techniques. He called this one puppet manipulation. Naruto can alter his body in certain ways, and this is one of them, for defensive purposes. Suyin was baffled, confused by what the hell just happened, as he was sure that his attack hit. So how the hell does he still have his arm? Suyin thought. Naruto? Naruto turned as he saw Mito, her eyes gaining understanding. She tried to stand up, however, he stopped her. "It's alright," he said. "You've done enough. Let me handle the rest, okay?" Sasuke jumped down. Naruto smiled at the Uchiha. "I see you came out on top with an added bonus," he said, just turned towards the Uchiha eyes. Shibuki was slowly getting up to his feet. "Shibuki-san," Naruto said, turning his gaze towards him. "You're willing to fight and die for your people, despite knowing that he's vastly stronger than you." Suyin jumped back as he landed. "He's taken the hero water, I presume." Shibuki nodded, as they had learned about the hero water, but Naruto already knew about it from some time ago. "Well, he pretty much cheated," said Naruto. "But don't worry, you gave it your best." And they noticed. Naruto said, gesturing towards the kids who were rushing towards Shibuki. "Now why don't you let me handle the rest?" Naruto started to walk. Suyin chuckled. "And what the hell do you think that you're going to do? Do you think that you're going to make some sort of difference, huh?" "Tell me something," said Naruto. "Do you causing people pain give you a sense of thrill? Does it make you happy, huh? What the hell are you talking about?" Suyin asked Naruto. "You know, stealing and drinking something to gain strength doesn't make you a better person. It just makes you a thief." "What the hell would you know, you little pompous brat? I'll rip you apart with my bare hands. You have no idea the amount of power that is fluctuating through me right now." "You're gonna rip me apart, huh?" Suyin blinked as Naruto whispered in his ear. His whole body froze in fear. How? Naruto was no longer where he was. So fast. Shibuki thought in shock. Sasuke was baffled. The first time him seeing Naruto move at this speed. Mito was astonished. As they watched, even the kids did not even see his movement. Naruto's fists slammed into his gut with such force. His feet were blasted off the ground. Naruto bent his knees before he leaped, reaching higher levels than his opponent. Naruto then performed one of his other abilities. This one was called Sky Manipulation. Naruto slammed his hand on what seemed to be nothing until there was a shattering sound, like glass breaking. With this ability, he didn't have to hit his opponent directly. He only needed to hit the surface of the area where his opponent was going to end up at. So by hitting this area, the force shattered like a bullet and came down by a simple slap. Suyin cried as a force crashed into his spine. He was launched from the sky. His body hit the ground with a titanium boom. It was pure chaotic as Naruto landed. However, as he did, water was being siphoned from everywhere. Naruto watches Suyin suck all the water towards them. I refuse to lose, he raged out. I'll crush you like the insect that you are. Boom! Suyen's gigantic fists demolished the area. However, Naruto was already gone. Suyin had encapsulated the water around him and made it more dense. He was now a human monstrosity, towering over all of them as he chuckled. His back was messed up from that slap. However, the water was doing all the movement. What will you do now? He yelled out. His gaze looked down toward Shibuki. I was once your teacher, Shibuki. You're just an insignificant child compared to me. You should have listened and handed over the reins of this village because now there will be mass casualties until you all bow at my feet. That is when he heard something right next to him as Naruto was standing on the monstrosity. Naruto was gazing down towards the ground when he suddenly exhaled. Cold steam escaped his mouth. Suddenly, Suyin started to feel awfully cold. Thanks for the assist. Naruto rested his hand down on it calmly as Suyin tried to crush him with the other hand. As Naruto muttered, "Frozen fall." The moment he said that, he started to change a molecule in the water. Suyen's body started to retract, the water body to be more exact, until he was stuck. Spikes stabbed into his waist, stabbed into his shoulder. Suyin cried out as the entire thing was frozen. Naruto jumped down. His fingers disassembled and fused into his hand. His arm changed and turned into a cannon. It started to glow with a yellow, destructive energy. Ultra cannon, he said. Suyen's eyes widened. No, 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 he screamed as Naruto fired. The beam shot forward, splitting through the sky before collision. Everyone had to cover their face and close their eyes. The whole thing was blown to cinders. That is when the cavalry arrived. As they saw what was taking place. However, when it was done, no body or nothing was remaining. Suyin was no longer resided in this world. Sasuke was baffled. He knew that Naruto was strong, but this was beyond what he was expecting. With that kind of power, he could get his revenge on Itachi. Mito was silent as she watched. That was awesome, she thought. Shibuki couldn't believe that someone just a few years older than the other Genins over there had such power. He was so powerful. And he was just probably 2 or 3 years older than them. Imagine what would happen when he reaches prime. It was a dazzling thought to even think about. Time skip. With the village now safe, the team was there to make sure any stragglers were taken care of. However, Naruto had ended a large portion of Suyen's people. Yes, and now Suyin as well. So the village was safe. Their action also gave Shibuki something that he was lacking: confidence. After his father's demise, he believed that he wasn't strong enough to take over the village. First it was Mito, with her speech that inspired him and then Naruto, showing him that the kids saw him as a leader. So he was grateful to Team 7, extremely grateful. Kakashi arrived not too long after to develop the shocking development that took place while he was gone. However, he knew that he could put his faith and trust in Naruto to keep everyone protected while he was not there. He knew he could. Time skip. Throughout the whole fight, neither Sasuke or Mito was in any real trouble because Naruto was watching them. He wanted them to grow. He wanted them to be able to face a dangerous enemy on their own to see if all the work that they've been putting in was making something. Sasuke had surely developed and grown a lot. Mito had taken a huge gap as well. Her fight with Suyin might have ended with her losing control, but before that, she fought one of Suyin's personal people. And this Kunoichi was strong, and Mito was able to take her out. Naruto noticed that Mito's raw strength was growing more and more. It was probably her Uzumaki trait, and that was a good sign. So with that, they continued doing their missions. More time passed. They had 2 months until the Chunin exams, when they first became Genins. The Chunin exams was going to start in 6 months, and they've been Genins for 4 months now. And they were the only teams out of all the graduates who had a 100% success rate. And not to mention, they have been going on very dangerous and high-class missions. Each of these coming as a surprise to them, but nevertheless, they were pulling it off. And even now, once again, they were going to be caught up in a situation. Team 7 was hired by someone out of the Land of Fire, a nearby resident of the Land of Fire. Yes, this town had been plagued by a group stealing all of their mining goods. The town was rather rich with supplies. They had a good deal with Konoha and the Land of Fire. So now that they needed help, they were calling them. Usually, people did not make a move against them because of the connection that they had with Konoha, but now, a group had been attacking them, forcing them to gain the supplies from the mining. And then, they took it. They couldn't afford to do anything to this group because this town didn't have ninjas. They were just a small town with a very rich and wealthy land. That is why they were able to supply other nations, mostly Konoha, with items so cheap. However, this mission coincided with another mission. At the moment, leaping from tree to tree. They knew that they were close to Konoha, but it shouldn't be a problem after all. They wouldn't even be entering the Fire Nation. This team was from Kumo. It consisted of 3 people. First was a guy. His name was Atsui. He had short blonde hair and blue eyes, with a strange tattoo on his shoulder, wearing a white and black clothing. He was a Chunin. Beside him was his cousin. Her name was Samui. She had blonde hair, blue eyes as well. Their clothing was similar, but hers was fit for her stature. Not to mention she had a blade. Atsui was 17 years old. Samui was 16. They were both Chunins. And the other Chunin on the team, her name was Yujito. A beautiful, dark blonde hair with purple eyes. She was dressed in a white and purple clothing. The white was pushing close to gray, and the purple was a bit dull. There was also beads on her hand. She was 16 years old. This was a standard Chunin group of Kumo. Yes, a standard Chunin group. If the mission would be harder, they would be accompanied by a Jonin, but today they were after a missing nin of the village who had popped up. This missing nin had recently fled with information that was in his head. So, it was either they bring him back or they execute him to make sure that he no longer had this information. But they should not allow him to live. After all, when he did came back, he was going to be executed anyway. So at the moment the group was making their way, Samui had taken the role of leader in this. Most of the time they switch. However, this girl had a sharp mind and her leadership skills were proving to be greater than most. So she was the one leading in this development as they made their way through the trees, something that they did not like very much. Kumo didn't have trees, especially in this formation at all. So yes, it was kind of weird to them. They quickly made their way towards said village. They did not enter the village though. They were told that their target was seen nearby. He's been hanging around here. Samui relayed the information. It was their objective to catch him off guard right now. So they were going to have to search the village. So with that, they placed on their disguises, pretending like they were not ninjas in the slightest, as they entered the village as tourists. Many people came here to see the mining shaft and how special the place was. So yeah, it wasn't hard to get in. After all, they were not trying to cause any trouble. They were just here to gather information for now, to find out exactly what was going on and see if they could capture the missing name. While that was going on, Team 7 was also making their way around the village. They were also not wearing their ninja gear. They had to play this smart. The member that had came to Konoha left under proper pretenses. They didn't want the bandits to know that they were going to hire Konoha ninjas or ninjas at all. The leader of this village had made a deal. Yes, he had made a deal to supply them with what they want as long as they did not hurt his people or his village. So the Konoha ninjas were here in disguises. The bandits and their leader of their group, they tend to show up at random times in order to receive their payment, as they call it. So yes, they had to stay here for at least a month because they were always back within the month. They've been here for a few days now, but there was no signs of them, no talking around town. Most of the time the bandits would spend time here as well, under pretenses that they were just normal people. Today Team 7 was breaking apart in order to cover more grounds, as each member was a part of the village, disguised in the background, wearing normal clothing, their headbands off. Naruto came across a nice little shop, figuring that this would be a good place to gather some information if any of the bandits were here. However, a member of the Kumo group was doing the exact same thing as well. As Naruto reached to open the door, someone placed her hand forward as he turned. The both of them looked at each other, purple and blue. She was surprised by his eyes for a single second. She's never seen blue eyes like those before. As Naruto smiled, he opened the door. "Go right ahead," he said. "Thank you," she said. This guy did not seem to be a ninja. He did not carry himself as one. All of those years of training truly paid off because she could not even tell. Naruto, on the other hand, the way she carried herself, leaving no opening, he could tell that she was definitely a ninja. However, even by just seeing her face, he could already tell who she was. Danzo had a vast list on the powerhouses around the elemental nation. The so-called Jinjulikis, all of them. The ones that you were able to find out about. And this girl, she was younger in the photo, but there was no mistaking that face. She was the holder of the two tails. With his vast, perfect memory, Naruto could instantly remember her name, Yujito. As he wondered what the hell was she doing here. However, he remained calm. After all, they were not enemies. And she turned out to be quite the looker, he thought to himself. As Naruto entered, he sat down. He ordered some tea. He simply relaxed. It seems like she was surveying the area for reasons he did not know. As she also ordered some tea, different kind though. She put a lot of milk in it though. Milk. Huh. He did not focus on that, as he just kept on glancing around. remaining calm as he did. That is when a guy came in. Most would not notice because majority of the people here were civilians. But this guy was under a transformation. He was also checking out the place. He also seemed to be unusually happy. Naruto wondered if this guy was involved in what was taking place. On the other hand, Yujito watched the guy. Could that be? She thought to herself. The guy left after spending 30 minutes here. It was like he was waiting for something or someone. Probably multiple of people. Naruto slipped away. The time was getting rather dark. It was already late. Yujito also leave as well. Neither of them knowing that they were going after the same man. Until Naruto realized as she was walking this way. She turned off into an alley though. He wondered. The guy did not stop as he just kept on moving. Naruto watched him as he was heading towards where the mining cave was. The place was extremely large. It was like a separate, different area of the village. There was a few workers out here. Naruto vanished into the shadow. So did Yujito as well. Suddenly, he released his transformation, showing that he had silver hair, beady silver eyes. He was quite muscular as well. His name was Ringo, the lightning thief. Ringo was a powerful person. However, he was also selfish. He didn't embody that spirit that someone would die or fight for their village. He only looked out for himself, and he realized that he could do that much better outside of the village, with several information and items that he stole in the process. He was making quite the buck out here. He even met some new friends over the few months, some that he had before. Ringo seemed to give some sort of signal, or perhaps this was a meeting time. Naruto watched as several people arrived, jumping down towards the area. The workers quickly fled, knowing what was going to happen, as they were going to assault the place. Take what they could gather, take what the workers had mined. Naruto stood there watching, to confirm that this was everyone. Once that was confirmed, he was about to make his move, until Yujito jumped out. All of them turned towards her. She was a bit cocky in her positiveness of defeating him. However, she did not waste any time as she launched something into the sky. Blue flames that exploded. The blue flames did not only call her people, but they also called the Konoha ninjas as well. Ringo turned towards her. What? Wait, it's you. What the hell are you doing here? I'm here to bring you back. He grit his teeth. Over my dead body. Well, that is a possibility, she said, as her nails extended, looking quite deadly. Kill her! Now! All of his friends turned towards her with a ferocity, the intent to slay her where she stood. They dashed forward at immense speed. She flew right into them. She took them on with grace and tremendous force. She was swift and her attacks were deadly. She tore through flesh. Her body was slippery like a snake, flexible like a cat. She twists and turned and flipped, and she always landed on her feet. As Naruto stood there watching the whole thing, when he saw the leader was waiting, he then made a move. Yujito, who was busy taking on all of these foes, did not prepare herself, or was she ready? He appeared behind her. His hand was covered by lightning, with a chopping motion to take her head clean off. He knew who she was. He knew the threat that she posed. She might not have full control, but she was still one of those blasted Jinchurikis. However, his lightning was cancelled out as his fist met steel. As Naruto sent the lightning down into the ground, using his body like a conductor, Yujito was surprised. Naruto kicked the guy away as he flipped and landed. Two ninjas decide to rush the both of them. Their gaze looked at each other for a moment, realizing that they both seemed to have a similar conquest in mind. They both ducked and spun, dodging their opponent before delivering a brutal hit. It's you. She never forget her face. I saw you earlier. What are you doing? She paused when she saw the headband. Konoha, she said, as she narrowed her gaze. Their talking was interrupted though, as a massive wave of lightning was shot towards the both of them. They both split apart. Konoha ninjas arrived, followed by Kumo ninjas as well. They were surprised to see each other. Konoha? Kumo? Kakashi responded as they looked at one another. However, their members were in trouble at the moment. This was no time for their feud. Both Naruto and Yujito rushed towards Ringo, who saw them coming as he smirked. He jumped away and hit the ground. However, something was not right. The ground gave way. Several explosive notes were rained down by him. They had no choice but to flee downwards. Naruto quickly flipped as he landed on the wall, Yujito doing the same. He wasted no time as he rained down his most powerful lightning technique that came down like a shower. They had no choice but to jump deeper, dodging all of the strikes. The deeper they went, the more he made sure that they would not return. His man rushed over two of them, jumping and releasing at least 20 exploding notes. They made contact with the top of the mine as it went up in a violent blast. The members of Team 7 and the Kumo team eyes went wide as the entire thing caved in on itself and swallowed them whole with a destructive force. Ringo started to laugh. Know that I got her out of the picture. It's time to kill the rest of you, he said, with a smirk on his face. Sasuke's Sharingan spent a life. Mito, blue eyes turned red as she was pissed. Kakashi lifted his headband up. Atsue pulled out two unusual blades as they were curved. Samui pulled out her sword. As they all engage, they might not be allies or friends, but they can see that they had one goal in mind as they rushed towards the countless people that were there, who realized that they were facing against powerful, destructive threats, which was the Konoha and Kumo ninjas. Meanwhile, deep underground, Yujito was surprised. Yes, she was. Greatly so. Are you alright? He spoke to her. Naruto was over her as she was lying on her back. On his back, though, was a gigantic boulder that he was holding up so easy. She had fell. The boulder would have squashed her. There was barely any room. However, he slipped between her and the boulder, allowing it to fall on his back. She was confused. Why did he save her? He of course saw her headband, so why would he save her? It made no sense. She had to voice her thoughts. Why did you save me? Well, you were in danger, so I made a move. But we are, what? Not from the same village. So what, said Naruto. It's not like we're enemies. After all, the real enemy is out there. Who was this guy, she thought. However, their problems got a lot worse. The cave might seem to be fully caved in from the outside, but it was not from the inside. What's that? Said Naruto as he heard a rumbling sound. He tried to look up. Her eyes went wide. Oh shit, she said, as everything came raining down towards the both of them. But guys, me and subscribe right here. If you want to see next person do, like, subscribe, comment down below and turn on that bell notification stay posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also, guys, don't forget to go ahead and smash that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and your support. And don't forget to obliterate that red subscribe button and become a part of the Making family. So without further ado, I'm off now. See you guys soon. Peace.